Amy, if you can hear me, call us at home.
Over 100 days since fourth grader Amy Mihaljevic answered the call from a stranger.
When you have a 10-year-old girl reported missing, and she's not with her friends and she's not with her family, that's a big concern.
And even one of the FBI's top agents couldn't find her.
Just go ahead.
And we're all just hoping somebody would give us a tip that would allow us to go there and find her and bring her home to her mom and dad and brother.
Those hopes dashed on a cold February morning, 45 miles away from Amy's hometown.
100+ days later, she's found in a field in Ashland County, in Ruggles Township on County Road 1181.
A jogger running across this desolate access road spied something unusual in a field and called police.
She showed me what she thought was a mannequin from the roadway right here. So once I walked back there, then I determined that it really wasn't a mannequin, it was a person. And it was identified as Amy Mihaljevic from Bay Village.
Amy lay just yards from the roadway, her tiny body beaten and stabbed. The autopsy later revealing just how violent her last moments were. Blunt force trauma to the head, stab wounds to her neck, her carotid artery severed, and most horrific of all, the final cause of death, exsanguinating hemorrhage. That means her body had been drained of blood.
We're standing, sadly, where she was found. I mean, tell me how close we are to where her body was.
Well, she was 20 feet off the west side of this roadway, right up into that cornfield. So not far. Across a ditch, up a little embankment. She was decomposed, and some of the evidence that we may have been able to obtain from that crime scene decomposed along with it, but not all of it.
Investigators treat the entire stretch of roadway as a crime scene, leaving no stone or pebble unturned.
What evidence was found?
A lot of evidence. I'll tell you, besides finding Amy's, body itself, we went around that road, and I was one of the people doing this, and we picked up every piece of trash, every cigarette butt in the ditch that runs along a lot of these rural farm roads.
Among those items collected, a long, dirty avocado green curtain. Its true importance would not be known for years.
The curtain, Phil. Where was it found?
The curtain was found right several hundred yards down the roadway.
This way?
This way, at the top of this ditch.
Would it answer the question, where was Amy killed?
You don't believe it happened here?
No. Correct. Did not happen here. No, she was deposited here after the crime. We know where she went. We know where she was abducted. We know where her body was recovered. What we don't know is that in-between spot, somewhere between here and Ashland County, and that's what we need to find out.
The roadway yields a bumper crop of new evidence, but none of it points directly to Amy's killer.
There have been people that you would call persons of interest, correct?
Yeah, there's people there that we're still taking a hard look at and still hoping for that piece of evidence or that piece of science that's going to give us the ability to solve this case.
But there's someone who says he's already solved it. James Renner is a journalist and author who's followed Amy's story from the beginning.
So this is 5 years of my life here.
James was the same age as Amy when she was abducted. He felt instantly connected to the missing girl.
When I was 11 years old, I saw her picture on the missing posters. And back then, I took it upon myself to try to solve her case.
He's amassed boxes of evidence and interviews, sharing it with police.
We've got newspaper clippings as a record of what has been reported, interviews with family, interviews with police, FBI, interviews with witnesses, interviews with suspects. Everything you need to solve this case is here. So this is Amy's death certificate. Missing posters, the original of the school photograph.
You agree that that's an obsession?
Of course it is, yeah.
Though police haven't publicly named anyone a suspect or person of interest, James has. He updates a blog online where the reporter keeps a rogues gallery of creeps he says are people of interest. Then he hunts them down for interviews.
And I've met a couple in this case where you talk to them and the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. and you realize that we're in a civilized society and there are people around and he can't do anything to me. But if we were alone, you know, all bets are off. You know, this guy could kill me.
But there's one man that keeps reappearing on James's radar.
You believe that there is one person in particular that you think is a prime person of interest?
Yes, I'll say this. I'm not 100% sure. Nobody is. But I believe there's enough evidence, circumstantial evidence and direct evidence, that there's enough for an indictment in this case.
The guy James says should be indicted reportedly volunteered at a nature center where Amy attended and had to sign in with her name and phone number. James believes Amy's killer actually had his eye on several of the young visitors that day.
A number of other girls who were called by Amy's killer also visited the nature center.
James is not a police officer or a lawyer, but he's so convinced this guy needs to be questioned, he travels 1,400 miles to do it himself. Coming up, James confronts the man he believes is the killer.
Well, I went down to Florida, Key West. I say, did you kill Amy Mihaljevic?
And a new look at that old curtain divulges shocking secrets.
Very small hairs, and we got a substantial match that these two are the same.